Hey nerds, Gleemax here, and today we're going to be looking at the best new Strixhaven commanders, as well as a few cards that would synergize with a deck that they may lead. I'm looking forward to Strixhaven, mostly due to the mystical archive cards, but there are some really good commander goodies in the set as well. Just a heads up, I will be talking about some of the pre-con commanders. They aren't in the set, but are thematically tied. Let me know if you think I should limit the list to just the set for the next video. Before we begin, remember to like the video if you like it, subscribe for similar videos in the future, and let's begin. First up, we have an MDFC commander duo, Shaile, Dean of Radiance, and Embrose, Dean of Shadow. Shaile is a 1/1 bird cleric for 1 and a white with flying and vigilance. You may tap and put a +1/+1 counter on each creature that entered the battlefield under your control this turn. Embrose, on the other hand, is a 4/4 for 2 black. You may tap him and put a 1/1 counter on another target creature. Then Dean Embrose will do 2 damage to that creature. Whenever a creature you control with a +1/+1 counter on it dies, you may draw a card. So the color identity is white and black. +1/+1 counters in a non-green colored combination offers interesting synergies. For instance, we don't get Tuskguard Captain, but Abzan Battle Priest, Abzan Falconer, and Einok Bondkin are great lords, and you can definitely do a great token build if you focus on Shaile. However, if you focus on Embrose, you want Murek Nightblade. The idea is Embrose can target anything with his tap ability, and it does damage. So giving him Death Touch means for a simple tap, we can kill any of our opponent's creatures. Sadly, we only draw a card if one of our creatures with a +1/+1 counter on it dies, but if they're being targeted with removal anyways, we might as well net a card out of the transaction. These two lead to some fun synergies and can play off each other very well. Shaile is great early game to ensure all your things can have +1/+1 counters on them, and Embrose can ensure they get through to your opponents by removing your opponent's creatures and offering card advantage with his tap ability. These are a solid number 5. Next up, we have Shadrix Silverquill. Shadrix is a 2/5 flying double striking elder dragon for 3 white/black. At the beginning of combat on your turn, you may choose 2 of the following options. Each of the 2 modes must target a different player. So target player can create a 2/1 white and black inkling creature token with flying. Target player draws a card and loses 1 life, and target player puts a +1/+1 counter on each creature they control. First up, you have to decide which of the 3 abilities you want to focus on to better hone your deck. The first ability makes 2/1 flyers, giving us an option for a tokens build, or it can buy us a favor from an opponent desperate for a blocker or wanting to take out a pesky planeswalker. The second ability is straight up card advantage. Having a Phyrexian Arena in the command zone is nice, however this option is the one you're most likely to target an opponent with if you're going for a Voltron strategy with Shadrix. The third ability is great to target an opponent with no creatures, say after a Crux of Fate or in Garruk's Wake effect being cast. If you target yourself, Shadrix gets the counters too, and a +1/+1 counter on a flying double striker is fantastic. We have control, Voltron, and go wide strategies with options to vary up who gets what. Shadrix requires good political gameplay, and that matches perfectly with the flavor. Shadrix is a phenomenal commander if you build your deck tailored to one of its 3 abilities, and is my number 4 for the best new commander from the set. Next up is one of the pre-con commanders, Osgir the Reconstructor. For 2 red/white, you get a 4/4 giant artificer with vigilance. You may pay 1, sacrifice an artifact to give target creature you control +2/+0 until end of turn. You may also pay X, tap Osgir, and exile an artifact with mana value of X from your graveyard to create 2 token copies of the exiled card. You can only do this at sorcery speed. This is a Boros commander that doesn't care about combat. I mean, yes, you could use him kind of like an ATOG to sacrifice a bunch of things to his first ability and then Chandra's Ignition for the win, but that's not our primary goal. What is the main game plan is the second ability, which can reanimate 2 token copies of any artifact in our graveyard. Once again, Voltron is a viable route with this commander. Reanimating 2 Swords of Feast or Famine or 2 Commander's Plates, Pure Steel Paladin's a must, and there's also Steel Shaper's Gifts for added consistency. Oh, and you can use him to ramp too. You can play, sacrifice, and reanimate 2 Soul Ring tokens. That's fantastic. You can also use Mox Tantalite in this deck, which, while it normally requires you to suspend it for 3, it has no converted mana cost, meaning that the mana value is 0, and you can reanimate 2 token copies of this from your graveyard with Osgir, which is absolutely fantastic. One card I really like for Osgir is Trading Post. That's going to be nuts with this guy. You can discard big threats to later bring back. You can sacrifice token artifacts to draw cards. Amazing stuff. I'm mean to Boros a lot personally because a lot of their commanders are generic attacking edge good decks, but Osgir is going to make people rethink Boros. He definitely deserves the number 3 spot on this list. My number 2 is Blex, Vexing Pest, and Search for Blex. Blex, Vexing Pest is a 3/2 legendary creature pest for 2 and a green. Other pests, bats, insects, snakes, and spiders you control get +1/+1. When Blex dies, you gain 4 life. On the flip side, we have Search for Blex, a sorcery for 2 black. You look at the top 5 cards of your library, you may put any number of them into your hand and the rest into your graveyard. You lose 3 life for each card put into your hand this way. First up, Swarmyard is going to spike again because of this guy, and this is another MDFC, which I feel like it kind of forces you to build around either one side or the other side. If we build around Blex, we get a green-black tribal list for bats, insects, snakes, or spiders. Here is a list of all the applicable creatures in green and black. Notice that there are more green and black insects than any of the other potential tribes. These creatures really don't offer a lot of synergy together, but if you're interested, you can build these decks. I'd go for a mix, generating tokens with spider spawning and Scute Mob, and playing a go wide strategy. Blex also makes its way into Hapatra, Ixana, and Pharika builds. The better selling point, though, is Search for Blex. If we can generate infinite mana, we can cast the spell over and over and over from our command zone. Each time we cast it, we simply dump all the cards into our graveyard until we hit Tendrils of Agony. We can even run Kozilek or Gaia's Blessing to infinitely refill our graveyard so we can kill our whole table with Tendrils of Agony. This might make CEDH Gitrog even better. Blex is an unusual card, as I can see Timmy lists going with spiders and bugs, or a CEDH list with a Prosh-like play pattern. Maybe we will see a list combining these two ideas. I look forward to what some people might come up with. Blex is number 2 on my list. Lastly, the card I'm most hyped to play is actually another Commander pre-con card. This is Adrix and Nev, Twincasters. These two are a 2/2 Merfolk Wizard for 2 green-blue with the Ward ability. Ward is a new keyword, which simply means whenever this creature becomes the target of a spell or an ability an opponent controls, you counter that spell or ability unless that player pays 2 mana. Also, if 1 or more tokens would be created under your control, twice that many tokens are created instead. So this is basically parallel lives in your command zone, with arguably the best color combination for commander. Simic really didn't have a great token focused commander before, so these two are going to lead a strong new Simic archetype. Imagine this with Coma out, getting 6 coils per table rotation, or Avenger of Zendikar making an even bigger army. Heck, Rampaging Balos making 2 4/4s per landfall trigger sounds good enough to me. If you focus on a landfall build, Scute Swarm is a must include to reach absurd levels of tokens. Easily the best card in this deck is going to be Helm of the Host, which reads at the beginning of combat on your turn, you create a token copy of the equipped creature, except that token is not legendary. If it's equipped to a legendary creature, the token gains haste. This gets to absurd levels of math when you start attacking in a 4-person table. A pet card that 100% should slot into this deck is Supplant Form. Bouncing the biggest threat on the table and getting 2 of your own sounds very fun to me. Adrix and Nev, Twincasters, are going to be the most sought after precon commanders. Try to pick up yours at your friendly local game store. I already have mine reserved. They definitely deserve the number 1 spot on the list. Alright, that's it for the commanders I am personally most hyped to see come out of Strixhaven. What commanders are you excited for? Are you building any of these commanders? Let me know down in the comments. Remember to like the video if you liked it, subscribe for future content, and have yourself an amazing day. Thanks, nerds.